from San Juan, Puerto Rico, Jonathan Suazo.
Thank you, Marco. Glad to see familiar faces here, everybody from the program. It's been an amazing experience. Can't wait to show you this. My project, Embracing Vol.1, Afro-Dominican Music. Embracing is it's a term that I really like. So much of this program here is about embracing each other, embracing each other's different cultures, views of life. So I came up with this Embracing project right after listening to one of the first lectures that we had in the program, where Patricia Zarate was talking about different topics, performance therapy, how music is more of an experience than a language. And one of the things that she mentioned was how important it is for you to go back to your roots and to sort of like find out who you are, where you come from, in order to be able to tell a very honest story as an artist. So I was dawned by that because I just, right then and there, I figured, I just never done that before. I've taken for granted for so many years the fact that I was born in Puerto Rico, and yes, I love my roots, I love the music from there, but was that everything from my roots? That's a question I started asking myself, and I decided to go back through the lens of music. So I started asking that, why am I even playing the saxophone? Why am I a musician? And that led me to think of this man right here. My father, he came to Puerto Rico when he was about 24. He also played the saxophone, and I was born into an amazing, supportive family of two loving parents that, I always like to say that my life, my upbringing is sort of like a TV show, and the music tracks for the TV show were smooth jazz, traditional jazz, mostly like Sonny Rollins and Stan Getz stuff, Dominican merengue, specifically from Juan Luis Guerra, and popular 90s hits. So my mom and my dad would take me to my dad's gigs when he was gigging around in town, and pretty early on I started showing signs that this was going to happen. And Danilo, you always mention that I don't smile that much. That hasn't really changed. It's always been hard. My mom, when I posted one of these pictures, my mom was like, "It was so hard to make you laugh." But So I realized that my dad is the reason why I'm playing. He's the one who passed that musical gene on to me, and he's from the Dominican Republic. So as a tribute to his legacy, because he's not with us anymore, I decided to do this project about Afro-Dominican music in order to do an exercise of reconnecting with my roots, to grow as an individual musically and spiritually. So obviously we know what Volume 2 is going to be about. It's going to be about Puerto Rico. So, So here, I started to realize that it wasn't going to be enough for me to just look at a couple of YouTube videos or read a couple of chapters of a book or listen to some albums. I needed to go there. I needed to reconnect with my roots, needed to do more of a deep study and just go there, see how the instruments were built, see how this music is played, where it's played, talk to some professional musicians, folkloric masters. So I teamed up with my good friend Rolando Perez Montes, and we went to the Dominican Republic this past May, and we met some amazing people like Jenny Nunez and Enolisa Nunez, Eddie Sanchez, Felix Minier, Jesus Minier, Jose Jacobo, and a couple of more. And now I'd like to show you a brief recap of our visit there. During the video, you're going to be listening to some audio tracks that were of great inspiration for me through this process. You'll be listening to a religious chant, to Salve de Villamella, and to Palo Cibaeño. So here is a little recap for y'all. was a great time. A special thanks to Maria Elena and the people at Fedu Jazz for inviting us over to do some classes and for taking care of so many things for us. I'm very grateful to all the people that we met back there and for the information that they shared. So I really like this format because it gives me a chance to integrate people into my music making process, which is something, it's really nice to see how people are thinking of making music, and just seeing all these projects has been of great inspiration for me. So I'll like to take you through some of the stages in my music making process for this project. I decided to do 3 stages. So the first one be from the essence, where I'm taking rhythmic, harmonic, and melodic material directly from a specific rhythmic pattern. In this case, it's the palo pattern. Extraction, where I'm taking an Afro-Dominican instrument out of its usual context to find creative ways of writing for this instrument, and incorporating into a contemporary setting. And further experimentations were after just having gone through these first 2 stages. For a while, I started to give myself permission to play mad scientist with all the rhythms and just start connecting them and playing with them as I please. So let's start with the first one, palo cibaeño. So palo is Afro-Dominican rhythm. One of the interpretations of this rhythm that really caught my attention was palo cibaeño, which is how it's played in the Cibao, which is the northern part of the island. It's a really energetic and catchy rhythm. So now I'd like to take you through how I started getting some ideas from this rhythm to make some music. So, you hear me? Yes, this works. Perfect. So I just decided to go into the rhythm. I played every day, just every day sit on the drums and just go through the motions, start experimenting with higher pitches, lower pitches, trying some of these rhythms out on different instruments. As you can see here, the rhythm goes like this. And that's pretty accurate to what's written up there. But when you listen to this live, and when you listen to a specific palo group playing this, you start hearing that this rhythm breathes. This is only like a slight representation of what you get when you listen to it live. And just immersing myself into this rhythm every day and kind of like just meditating on it for a while, I started feeling that it had a push and pull between the 3 and the 2. And it really does breathe more in this way. When you start to speed it up, you really start feeling that pull. That was really fascinating to me because that suddenly turns into something like this. It starts going more into like a ternary thing, and it lives and breathes in between the 2. And that was really fascinating to me. So when I started playing this rhythm, I started trying it on the drums, specifically on the ride cymbal. And that led me to eliminate some of the downbeats, just focusing on when I tried it on the ride cymbal, I took away the downbeat, and all of a sudden it was, and I just realized I could turn this into this, I could turn this into that. It started dawning on me that I could turn it into more like a triplet feel, like a. Started to take this rhythm and create a rhythmic illusion with it. It sort of brought me back to a lot of the things that we worked on during the year. Like, where do you get your ideas? Like, the famous Joe Lovano phrase. Or when Danilo was talking about how sometimes when he's playing, he's just going through the melody endlessly. And where do you get your ideas? It was really amazing to me that I was getting all these ideas just from what I had in front of me. I wasn't really like trying to add anything to it. So from this, the composition Ricano was born. So I'll take you through a little bit of that. I took some of those upbeats that you hear on the drums, like ba 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 ba. I started and I assigned them to the bass. This is something that you hear throughout the entire composition, in the solos, in the first movement, the second movement, and the third movement. And, this bass line is pretty constant. And then I assigned sort of the role of the palo mayor, which is the one that this one would be playing, to the piano, which lives in between that 2 and 3 feel, like and those upbeats were assigned then to the bass, and this is what I came up with. This is just the bass with the saxophone from the first movement. See how it can feel in another way. And then I wanted to make a groove that could live within the rhythm pattern without necessarily having to play it on any other rhythm. And when I assigned this pattern to the piano, which lives in between that binary and ternary, while focusing on those upbeats with the bass, created a really nice groove. This is what I came up with. This was a big eye-opener for me, because I was suddenly getting so many ideas by just what I had in front of me. I wasn't trying to go listen to this or listen to that. It's just this pattern. So that was a revelation for me. It was a big awakening. I wanted to write something that represented that for me. So now you'll be listening to an extract from the third movement of the Ricano piece, which is a 3-movement piece that I did for this project. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. That was for the first stage, From the Essence where I was taking that specifically from that pattern. Now let's move on to the second stage, which was extraction, where I decided to take the Dominican guira out of its usual context to be able to find new ways of incorporating this instrument into a contemporary setting. So the guira is a cylindrical idophone, and it has many dents into the metal that are hammered into the metal from the inside, and then it's scraped with thin metal bars that are attached to a wooden handle. It's a very powerful instrument. It gives a lot of energy to the ensemble, and it can play the role of several different instruments, which was really interesting to me at the moment of writing for it. Whatever if I wanted to communicate something intense, then it was a very adequate instrument for doing that. So now I'll play you a little extract from one of the tunes that I did for the project called Heroes, in which I gave the guira a little solo here. So enjoy this. Thank you. This is a special shout out to my friend Xavier Diaz, who killed it on the guira in that tune. So for the third stage in my music making process for this project, further experimentations, I decided to experiment, just play mad scientist with this rhythm and integrate it into different styles, combine different genres, different rhythms. And after having submerged myself in these rhythms for a couple of months, I started getting a lot of ideas as to how I could combine them. I'm still getting a lot of ideas. I was mentioning to Marco that just a lot of the ideas are now just coming in, and it's a shame, but it just proves that this is only the beginning of an amazing thing that's going to happen pretty soon. So each morning with these rhythms, what I would do is just each morning I would go 1260 or just put on those ankle bells that Jerry Leak gave us, and I would just go through some of the Awakwa sequences that we've been practicing with Danilo, and I sort of immerse myself into this meditation. I would sing the drum language, go through the sequences, try different rhythms out, and try to incorporate them into the Awakwa pattern. And I remember specifically one day I was just really worried. Everybody knows that I'm a worrier. I get really serious, and I'm practicing, and I'm not happy with my sound. And one of those mornings I was just going through that, and it popped into my head. It's like, this is all about multicultural coexistence. I told myself, Jonathan, just don't worry. Stop worrying. Everything is going to be fine. You're part of this amazing group. These people care about you. You'll be fine. And we've all been stressed, There's always that something that pops us back. It keeps us in check, and it's like, oh, okay, just chill, And that moment was big, because it's carried on, and I can use this moment to just calm myself down whenever I'm feeling worried. So I wrote this tune dedicated to that. A bunch of these melodies for this tune that I'm about to show you started popping into my head in those moments where I was stressed, and I just felt this relief by thinking of all, the Berkeley global jazz family that we have here. So I wrote this tune sort of to represent that multicultural coexistence And in it, I am incorporating rhythms from the Dominican Republic, like palo cibaeño, from Puerto Rico, holandés, and a little bit of Brazilian surdo, with a little bit of triangle on top of it. So let me just show you the rhythms that you'll be listening to inside this thing. It's a nice groove. So you have the palo, which is right, and then you have the holandés. And then you have and then the triangle is going, creates a nice groove. So here is Stop Worrying, or in Spanish, Despreocúpate. Because sometimes you just need to stop worrying. Thank you. Thank you. So being here in the program, being in Boston, there's a lot of things going on back home. The political situation in Puerto Rico is, not the best right now, and such as the same with a lot of places in Latin America and around the world. Here, the world, there's a lot happening in the world. It's not just enough to make music that's always happy. There's a strength to music. There's music, to me, it serves also as a way to express emotions that I have or opinions that I have about certain subjects. And specifically what's going on in PR right now, it's pretty intense, and I'm very emotional about it. So this piece was a protest piece that I wrote in reaction to the events that have been occurring there recently. I integrated the guira to this piece because it just adds an element to the intensity that I'm trying to express. I also integrated some effect pedals and some synths to come up with this. You'll hear two extracts from this tune. This one is called Make Way. Nosotros no nos faltan recursos.
Nos sobran ladrones. Esta élite, mi gente, está dormida. Y es hora de despertar.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so moving on to this last extract I want to show you. Just thinking about this whole process of self-discovery, reconnecting with my roots. It's brought a lot of inspiration into my life, and thinking of all these people that have worked so hard, have gone through so many struggles to keep these traditions alive. Here in the States with jazz, in Puerto Rico, in Dominican Republic, and all over the world, a lot of people are giving their energy to preserving these traditions and to keep them alive. That's something really important to me. These people are heroes. So I wrote this composition entitled Heroes as a tribute to their energies. So I'll show you briefly the theme that inspired the melody for this one, which is a religious chant from Santo Domingo. And it's going to be followed by the main theme of Héroes, just so you see sort of where I'm getting my ideas. So that's the theme. And when I went to the Dominican Republic, I had most of this tune, and a lot of the tunes are all sorted out. Like, I knew mostly what I wanted to do. But this one in particular, it was missing something. When I met with Jenny Nunez, one of the persons who helped us out and took us to Villamella, which is a place in the capital that we got to visit, we met with Freddy Gonzalez and with Enerolisa Nunez, which is one of the top names in Dominican Republic for the salve tradition, specifically the way salve is played in Villamella. And when Freddy showed me one of their albums when we were at his house, it was pretty amazing. I just fell in love with this rhythm, and I'd like to show you a little bit of it. Put a little bit of audio for you. As you can see, there's 3 different instruments here. There's the panderos, there's the valsier, which is an amazing drummer, an amazing drum. Freddy, the person who showed me this album that you're listening to, he plays this instrument. His photo is the one on the lower side of the picture, and And then Olisa Nunez, she's actually the one playing the pandero up top. And you get the pandero, you get balsier, and you have the guira. This creates an amazing musical environment. The way it's interpreted in Villamella, it's really strong because there's a play between the 3/2 clave that they do in the panderos. This just, I fell in love with it. I'm still in love with it, and I found that was like the missing piece that the composition needed in order to really, so that I could be satisfied with it. So the main pattern, just so I can leave you with this extract, is this. What I really found interesting about this rhythm was that you get the 3/2 clave, right? You get the. It's the same thing happened with this one that would happen with Palo. I started feeling that push and pull when you hear it live between the 3 and the 2, which was really interesting to me, especially when seems to be a conversation between the panderos in which one is filling in all the gaps inside the 3/2 clave and creating a mirror clave that looks like this. And something like this, like pretty straightforward, like starts morphing into more like this. So on one hand, you have the clave on the downbeat. And then there's one responding on the offbeats. Mix them together, you get. This is something I fell in love with, and I just had to incorporate it into this piece as a final touch. So I'd like to leave you with the final extract from one of the compositions entitled Heroes. This is like from half on in the composition to the end. Thank you. Yeah, so this piece ended up, it means a lot to me because it ended up mixing a lot of the concept that we had been working on through the entire year, like the Avaquah, the movement of the Big Three. It's sort of a tribute to Afro-Dominican music, incorporating the salve and the guira, and as a message to all these people that have given so much to us. And yeah, I hope this is the first of many volumes within the Embracing series. And I want to thank all the musicians that were part of this. Thank you to all the global jazz people that were part of this, all the people back home, all the people in the studio. Thank you so much. And a special thanks, and just bear with me for just 1 minute. I need to just read all of these because it's really important. There were a lot of sacrifices made for me to be out here. My family, my mami, abuelo, los amo mucho. Gracias por todo lo que me han dado. A Paos, Teresa Ríos, Luis Álvarez, Guillermo Martínez, Fundación Nacional para la Cultura Popular, Jochi Dávila, Javier Curet, Charlie Sepúlveda, Tito Matos, Ricardo Pons, all the people that contributed to my fundraising campaign to come out here. Of course, Marco Pignataro, Jerry Leak, Danilo Perez, Patricia Zarate, Terry Lynn Carrington, Rick DeMuzio, John Patitucci, Joe Lovano, Alan Pasqua, Miguel Zenon, David Sanchez, all my crew from PR, Leonardo Zuna, Juan Aldaondo, Francisco, Gabriel Vicens, Elvis Terán, Marcos Maura, Raúl López Mestres, Rolando Pérez Montes, all my teachers from back home, and the entire family at the Berklee Global Jazz Institute. These are some of my sources, which will be online, I hope, really soon. And thank you. Thank you for listening.
Very good. Excellent. Congratulations, Jonathan. Comments?
Yes. I don't know where to start. Can someone else start?
Okay, Jerry.
Well, first of all, fantastic. Absolutely great experience hearing your music and participating in your process and having you in my class and private lessons. And right off the bat, the whole warrior, the worrying aspect, I grew up with that completely, and I decided to change the word worrier to warrior. So if you kind of put yourself in the forefront and be the aggressor and not the,
that.
So, my typical puns and relationships.
Yeah.
But, we go back as a member of my class and also the private lessons, and I did prepare a couple of comments. I don't want to take too much time, but mostly based on your sending the tracks to me and then talking to you in person about it. You described beautifully the 3 stages of your process and how you, use that to get through and deeper into the cultures and how that'll sustain you for the rest of your life in that journey as you explore other cultures and traditions. So bless you for kind of recognizing that importance. I can absolutely relate to that in my own music, learning traditional music, playing from a traditional context, and then stepping outside the box a little bit, adding flavors and influences, that being my second level. And then the third, completely way outside of the box, reinventing ideas and completely, coming up with new styles and new derivatives. But, you have a real profound passion to explore and document what is taking place in the arts. You've described that very beautifully. Drawing inspiration from performance art, from a culture's cuisine, as you talked about on the phone with me, and historical monuments, all kinds of influences that you draw from. And that's really important, getting the visual as the sound and the entire culture that's taking place. You really have a unique sense of rhythm that I think is fascinating, to create puzzles that weave into and out of other puzzles. They're not just cute tricks that lack substance, but they're clever discoveries of how patterns combine and regroup, and I can relate to that in some of my own work. So fantastic. You're a player without fear, who has placed no restrictions on your players to freely interpret your music. And you've discovered unique ways to present a sax melody, as you were describing, in different meters and density and intensity. That's really very sweet, and it reminds me of South Indian music, how that develops in different speeds and relationships. And in closing, just that, you're a rare talent, I think, that has no limit to the resources you can draw from. Traditional music of your roots, unique composing skills that place musicality above ego, tight arrangements from the skills you've learned on your own and at Berkeley, and a pioneering spirit to discover new inspiration that will keep you going for the rest of your life. So bless you for that, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you.
Of course.
It was an honor to take classes with you, man. It's just amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna stick around for one more year, so you're getting rid of me.
Congratulations. Yeah, a lot of work. You can hear all the work that you put into this, and you presented it great. My questions, I guess, would be one, future plans, like where do you plan on going with this other than creating, a CD or, I know you said Vol.2, but other than that, like how else do you see integrating, this particular project in other ways with whatever society, how do you see it having more, more legs, so to say, than just being a recording?
Yeah, this is only a small part of a much bigger project that I'm in the process of bringing to life. It's called Embrace, which is an online platform that I'm in. It's in construction right now, but it's going to offer everything from streaming, music downloads, online store, exclusive content, and as part of Embrace, which is, it's inspired by this whole concept, there is Embracing, which is the video documentary series that has me going into different cultures of interest. In this case, the first one was Dominican Republic, but, the list goes on of places of interest. And going to those places and sharing and documenting the treasures that these places have in 3 categories, which is the food, the historical monuments, or the places to visit if you ever want to go there, and the arts, what's going on in the arts there, everything from visual arts, from performance art, and of course music and folklore. So that's like the next step of this, and that's why we went to the Dominican Republic too, to also start the process of documentation for that, to slowly add material to be able to form a season of content based on Dominican Republic, and split it up into episodes like the food, the arts, the historical monuments, and at the end do a digital release of all this music inspired by it.
I see. Cool.
I didn't want to get into all of that in the beginning because
like,
last time I did, it took me 20 minutes just to say that.
Oh, you should have put it in your presentation, more of that. That would have been good to know. Also, your foundation at least with this project, seems more rhythmically based, right? I mean, is that what your plan is with these other places? Just more dealing with the rhythm of the places as a foundation, and not as much necessarily the melodic and harmonic traditions because I hear, like, I can hear all of the influences you talked about from your parents, the music in your house, which is very cool. I mean, I can hear, like, in your improvisation, all the jazz you heard. I can even hear the smooth jazz, and melodies, and then, of course, the Dominican Republic, the rhythmic approach. So how do you plan to, are you going to stick more with rhythm, or are you going to?
Well, this whole embracing journey, I'm looking at things that really call to my attention when whatever culture I decide to submerge myself in. But my plan is to go through all of the elements of those folkloric traditions. So next step, yes, it would be to go more into the melodic sides. How do the melodies, how are the melodies interpreted? What is the dynamic between the call and response? Which intervals? I sort of started hinting at it with this final tune, but like I said, I'm just now getting a whole bunch of ideas, and it's just, I would love to show you a lot of other stuff that are in the process, but it's in the beginning stages, and right now I'm getting a whole bunch of ideas, as to progress with this. But definitely, in each place that I go visit, I'm going to want to get into the entire culture, especially when it comes to folklore, melodic, rhythmic, and harmonic. So just rhythmic for now, I would say, but it's only the beginning.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jonathan, congratulations. You put a lot of work into this project, and it's very important, the type of work that you're doing to connect the Afro-American experience, which is, when they talk about America, they all most of the time say United States, but America includes Latin America too.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. You're putting all this new experience together. I would have personally loved to hear a little bit of because I'm familiar with a lot of the palo, and why did they call it palo? I think that would have been something that I like to hear, like the experience of.
Palo, the drums are literally, in Spanish, it's palo. A palo is like a tree trunk. The drums are made from the tree trunk, so they're not like divided into different. I don't know what you call those. What do you call those? They're not. Yeah, they're not divided. It's just like the tree trunk. It's hollowed out, and then they put the skin on the other end. So I haven't really gone into why it's called palo, but I do know there's different manifestations of palo throughout the entire island. And the one that caught my attention was palo cibaeño, which was the one that's played in the northern part, more like I showed you. I realized throughout the presentation that a very important slide, I sort of skipped it, which showed the instrumentation of palo, and I didn't realize until close to the end.
That would have been nice to see, and also the connection to West Africa, which is a lot of the things we've heard today is connection of with the black, the Afro-American experience, and there's a component of religion that is also in palo. So this would be, for everybody, would be great to really look forward to see how the component of religion plays a role in the creation of rhythms. Going back to what Terlin was saying, it's not the rhythmical experience, but the experiential thing of religion, connotation into preaching, praying, etc. You know what I mean? So that happens in Cuba too, in Panama, and different parts of Colombia and South America. I would add that component too, because I think it takes it away from just the rhythm aspect of the music per se, but it add and connect to the Afro-American experience as a whole. That would be my advice. Thank you very much. Great to see you grow so much in this year. It's been a privilege working with you.
It's been my honor, really.
Thank you.
It really has.
We are a little bit out of time. Any other comment? Yes.
One quick comment. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed that and learned a lot from it. I just want to say that I really liked, I think it was the piece called Ricano.
Yeah.
Where you also stretched the harmonic possibilities, which really I thought was really great. And also in some later pieces you did experiment with different instrumentations and some electronic sounds. And I think that really makes your music unique when you do that, when you're not afraid of blending in all the different stuff. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Wonderful.
listening.
Congratulations to Jonathan Suazo. And stay with us for Leaf Fish. We'll be right back.